how many calories. I need a lot less than probably you need, right? Where I often find people make the mistake is they do the spreadsheet and they add it up and they're like, I need 4,500 calories, and then they pack it all up. It's way too much. It weighs too much. It takes up too much space. And when they get out there, oftentimes under exertion, especially at any kind of altitude, you kind of feel a little nauseous and you don't want to eat a lot. And so if they haven't tried the food before, and that, man, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people and they're like, yeah, I tried, brand X or Y, dehydrated food, and I got out there and I realized I hated them all. They were horrible. I didn't like them. They didn't taste good. And then they didn't eat it, and all they're doing is kicking their own butt. So I'd say train multiple days with the food you think you'll need. You'll start to figure it out. You can add it up and put it in a spreadsheet if you want, but calories for the sake of calories isn't going to help you. It's the most impactful calories in the most dense food sources you can find, and then try them. So, sit down at night and try one of your dehydrated meals for dinner, right? If they don't taste really good in your house, they're not going to taste as good at, say, 10,000 feet, where food begins to lose a little bit of taste. Your palate loses a little bit of taste anyways. I went on a trip years ago where, friends and I were hiking from the south end of Kodiak Island back to the north. It was about 150 kilometers. We were going to do it in like 4 days. And these guys needed a lot more food than me. And so we split all the gear up, but their packs were heavier because of the food. First night we get in this teepee tent. They got all this food. I eat my standard meal. I'm good. They keep cooking and cooking and cooking. At the end of the night, they couldn't eat it all. And so they ended up carrying a lot of, they thought they needed, say, 5,000 calories. They could only really consume 3,000 of what they brought. And they carried a lot of food out of the field. And they never did get the calories they thought they really needed to perform. So to me, it's not a put it on a spreadsheet and go. It's put it on a spreadsheet if you want. Go train with it, go test it, modify it, and make sure that it's enough for you to kind of continue, and that you can consume it no matter how, good or bad you're feeling. To me, that's more important. I'll eat the same food every single day on a trip, and I don't get bored with it. A lot of people would, but I just know what works for me, right? So as big as I am, and I couldn't even tell you the exact amount. I probably could guess, but I don't eat very much food when I'm out there, just because I'm focused on other things and et cetera, et cetera. But I know it'll sustain me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've noticed there's just so much to talk about here too, right? Like every single person's different. I tend to have more energy and I'm more effective if I don't overeat. The other day, this is not a backcountry example, but at home, the other day I was just dragging. I didn't want to do my frickin' mountain tough workout at 4 p.m. It just sounded like absolute hell. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have a snack and try to get some energy. And I just devoured some chips and salsa, which was probably the worst thing to eat. And I did my workout, but I was just, the workout was worse. And then the next day I'm like, I felt the same way. But I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this kind of fasted and see how I do as compared to yesterday when I kind of bloated myself. And I was way better. Maybe a apples and oranges type thing, but I have found that in the mountains, because sometimes you're sitting in your teepee at night and you're like, I just feel like eating. And sometimes I'll eat 2 meals, like 2 spaghettis and, whatever else. And the next morning you wake up and you just feel like shit.
Yeah.
When your body probably would have been okay with stopping at the first meal. And just, so there's a balancing act too, because I think you said at the beginning, when you're on these backcountry trips, the goal isn't necessarily to feel full. Like, you're not going to feel full. You're always going to have that sensation of hunger. Like that's just the way it is. And so maybe it's better. And I'm just thinking out loud because I'm testing my body this year with more intermittent fasting, being okay with the feeling of a little bit of hunger, as opposed to feeling like you always have to fix that. And my hope is maybe when it comes around to hunting season that I don't have to worry about that as much. I can eat the right foods, but eat less. I know. So maybe that's also a training thing, just training yourself to feel okay. You don't have to feel, I mean, you don't die of hunger, right? Eat
No.
nutrients, drink water. But you're not, you're not going to feel like satisfied. That's why everybody in the backcountry is like, man, can you imagine having a cheeseburger and a beer right now? Because
Absolutely.
your body wants, you're going to be in a constant deficit, but you just kind of learn to deal with that and take the right stuff that's really good for you, right?